Okay. Um, okay, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a few minutes past 1 p.m. and we are kicking off the open access webinar. Um, we have been carrying out the announcement. We've been informing our colleagues and the general public of this webinar, and today's D-Day. So I'm glad that we're here. So if you're live, I think I'll just establish some protocol and we'll start. My name is Sylvester Ewonu. Pardon me to share my screen. I'd like to share the program for today with every one of us so that we are all on the same page. Today's program, give me a moment to share with you my screen. Yeah, that's my screen. Yeah, okay. Captions. So, everyone, I would like to say welcome to the International Open Access Week, which started since on Monday. Um, Globally, they started since on Monday, and today we are having a about 60 to less than 2 hours session to discuss the concepts open science and open access. I would like to quickly inform us that we have very amazing resource persons behind the stage. They are all here right now. I don't know if you can see this flyer clearly on your screen, but we have our resource persons here right now, and I'll quickly go straight into telling us what to expect for today's program. So, first of all, I'm going to take the opening formalities, which we see us recognizing participants that are online. And then we are also going to recognize our resource persons who are backstage right now. And immediately after that, I'm just going to give us a brief background for us to get this conversation started. So, first of all, you see the scroll bar says the breaking news is that you are here, and this is a free public webinar on open access. Please tell us your name and where you are watching from, and let us know. Just put in the comment section. That's the only way we can recognize you. We want to know those of you watching. So I'm just going to put my name here. I'll say Sylvester, streaming or watching from Delta States, Nigeria. So, so as we can see, that's me. That's my comment on the screen. Sylvester streaming or watching from Nigeria, Delta State. So I see that we have people watching online right now from YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. What you can do for us is please drop in the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll be glad to know that you are here with us. Thank you so much. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll be glad to know where you're watching from. Thank you. I see Dr. Fatima. She's also here. She says she's participating from Nigeria here. Okay, so I'll just continue with the program while we get your comments. So immediately after these formalities I'm doing right now to get the program started, We are going to have our first speaker for today, the person of Dr. Aziz Adeoye. His topic is titled "Understanding Open Access: A Beginner's should I say, a beginner's guide or approach to open science. So he's going to be trying to break down the term for us. And then immediately after that, we won't be taking questions. We will go straight to Sarah Gang's presentation. She's going to be telling us more about open science, but she's just going to give us, she's going to balance the whole idea and give us some ethical consideration when it comes to open science, publishing, and all that. Immediately after her session, we will go into an interactive conversation. And there we have Dr. Fatima Jibril Abdudayan. We also have Dr. Ukaiko Ujambo from Kenya, and then the two speakers will come on board the panel and we will have the conversation. And you, our participants watching live, you also get the opportunity to ask your question. At this juncture, I would like to recognize specially Dr. Princess One for Oriju. She's participating from Anambra State. Thank you so much, Ma. We spoke yesterday and she mentioned that she'd love to be here. Thank you. I'm glad you made it. Also, I see Abdul Rahim from Kwara State. Thank you for coming. Um, and then we have Rabi Shehu Ahmed from Nigeria. Great. Great to see everyone here from Nigeria. I am happy to see you all. What I would like to suggest now is, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, just share the video, click on share. You know, some people who plan to attend this event, they may not remember. So, but if you share it, it can give them a notification. So please try to share this video right now. So we will continue. So having said that, let me quickly establish the protocol. Like I said, I want to do. This program is organized by Upskill Connect Village and LipSense Open Science Nigeria, and we are bringing this program to you. And what we'd like you to know as the rationale for us organizing this program is first to mark International Open Access Week by creating a learning platform where the public, which is you right now, can exchange ideas and build a foundational understanding of what open science and the entire concept means. And hopefully, we'll be able to address ethical considerations and in adopting these practices among academic professionals. For you to learn more about why this webinar was organized, it's on the website. I'm going to put it on the comment section. Take note, this brochure I'm using right now, I'm going to be sharing it with us. You see, we made some promises when we were publicizing this event. If you see, the first thing here is at the end of this webinar today, you would have gained an improved knowledge of what you know about open science. Then number two, the Upskill and Connect Village will be making a very big announcement. Some of you who know what we do at the Upskill and Connect Village, we organize free webinars. We also organize paid webinars. There are many people who have paid for some of our webinars, and some of our content are closed content. So in this webinar, we are going to be making a big announcement, releasing two different content that have been closed to the public. That's the big news, and you are going to like everyone here, you're going to like it. It's for both librarians and even non-academicians. You're going to find the resources helpful that we'll be announcing for free today. Also, we are going to be issuing out free certificate of participation to everyone that attends this webinar, a certificate that certifies that you attended an open access webinar and that you have basic understanding of what open science is. And lastly, at the end of the day, we are going to be requesting you to support us, not by paying anything, but by filling an ongoing research work to complete a questionnaire. That's what we'll require you to do. So, having said that, I would like to share with us quickly some ideas, some thoughts that came to my mind while we were preparing for this event. Personally, I'm someone I would like to describe as open science enthusiast. Okay, and there's somewhere that let me go to. In my bid to learn about open science, I made sure I registered for. I don't know if you can see my screen. I registered for this program that you're seeing on the screen right now. The AFLIA just completed their engagement for the week. I think they did theirs for about 3 different days. So, which rounded up yesterday with a quiz. And I deliberately participated in this event. I watched to a large extent the replays for those sessions I couldn't watch. And I also attended one other one organized in collaboration with one of these universities in Namibia, just because I wanted to learn about open access. So, but in my quest to learn about open access, I came across the International Open Access Week website. So if you want to learn more about the International Open Access Week, you just go to openaccessweek.org. You will find a lot of information there. That's where I learned a lot before we decided to organize this webinar. And lastly, there was something shocking that I came across, and it was on the Spark website talking about why open access really matters. It was shocking for me when I clicked on these links and I realized that over about $90 billion is the amount annual investment that the US government makes in research that are being made available to us publicly. So for some people who say open access, it's not entirely free. People sponsor these things. So I saw these shocking figures that really expanded my knowledge. And I'm sharing all these with us because at the end of the day, I'm going to share this link. It's all part of the brochure, the certificate, and everything you will receive at the end of this webinar. The goal, like I said, of this webinar is to ensure that we all have in-depth understanding of what open access is all about. So, like I said, all you will just need to do is fill our survey, and then the webinar resources, everything is ready. We'll share them with you, even the replay video, everything, you gain access to them all for free, including the big announcements. I'm going to announce that for everyone who stays to the end of this webinar. So, having said that, I would like to introduce our guests for today, our resource persons. Let me check and bring them up now. We have Yup Gang. Gang, is she here? Let me check if she's here, please. Let's check if she's here. Okay, she's not here, so I'll skip her introduction, but I know she'll join us shortly. She'll join us shortly. Good evening, good afternoon, Dr. Aziz. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fatima.
Yeah,
Hello, good
And
afternoon. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And good afternoon, Dr. Ojambo. Are you there?
Yes, I am. I don't know if you can see me or hear me, but I'm here. Thank you.
Wow, we see you, we hear you, everything
Thank you.
looks perfect over here. I just
Thank
want
you.
to introduce and make sure we let our participants know that you are here, that you were backstage while I was taking the webinar overview. So I'll quickly introduce us briefly. Dr. Aziz Adebangbola Adeoye is a senior librarian at the Federal University of Health Sciences, Ila Oregun, Nigeria, and he is a prolific writer, popularly known by his pen name, the Wizard Librarian. So, Dr. Aziz, I want to say welcome to the
Yeah.
Open Access webinar for today.
Thank
Yeah.
you so
Welcome.
much.
Okay, and we also have Dr. Fatima Jibri Abdudayan. She's a tech educator. She's an open science advocate. Everyone knows that. If you want to learn anything about open science, the first name that comes to mind is Dr. Fatima, and she's a research librarian. She's a data analyst. She's a chairperson NLA Niger Delta State, NLA Niger State chapter, and she's also a senior lecturer and head of department just recently of the Library and Information Science FUT MENA. And may I add, she is a co-organizer. She is is it the team lead of the Leap
Team.
Sense Open
Yeah.
Science Nigeria? Team
That's
lead?
correct. That's correct.
I tried to. Thank God I didn't say chairman.
There's no chair to man.
Okay, all right. So, and she we're collaborating to bring this free webinar to every one of us. And Dr.
Yeah.
Fatima, thank you for being here today. We are grateful.
Yes. Sorry, a quick one. I'm the former chairperson in the Niger State chapter. We have a new chairperson now. Yeah.
Wow,
Thank you.
wow, 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 wow. That's nice. Thanks for that correction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so and lastly, we have Dr. Kaiko Ojambo. Dr. Kaiko Ojambo is joining us from Kenya today, and she's a lecturer in Communication Studies, Department of St. Paul's University, Kenya. And she teaches, among many classes, academic writing and information literacy to undergraduate students, postgraduate writing, and she supervises MA communication students. Today is the first time I'm going to be having a very formal conversation with Dr. Kaiko. We've been having conversations on social media, and I'm so excited to meet with you today, Dr. Kaiko. How are you, Ma?
Thank you very much. And actually, I'm actually a Plateau native, so it's always good to connect to my Niger side. I'm married in Kenya and live in Kenya, but otherwise, it's always a pleasure to have these collaborations with my great Nigerian librarians, academicians, and other people who are thirsting for knowledge. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. So I'll just do a final recognition of those our participants online. I see some of their names here. There is on the screen right now. We have Abdurrahim Organija from Kwara State. We also have Dr. Ngozi Osuchuku says hello all. Perpetua, and she greets every one of us. Thank you so much, Doc, for being here. We have Jato Victor. We also have BC, and others will be showing by the side of our screen as they come in. So, having said that, I want to say welcome. We are now going to be inviting our first speaker for today, um, who is no other person but Dr. Aziz. Is going to be taking the first topic, as I had earlier mentioned. So, Dr. Aziz, we are all going to be going backstage for a moment while we will allow you take the floor to give us a beginner's guide on open science and open publishing. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I hope my screen is visible to all now. Thank you. So, as been introduced, my name is Dr. Aziz Adeoye, and I'm an IT enthusiastic following the footsteps of our former chairman, Dr. Fatima Ahebu HOD. You're highly welcome, ma. And I also recognize our darling sister from Kenya. Africa is one, and we're happy to have you here. So, thank you so much. And to all the participants, I'm very sure we are going to acquire more knowledge on open assets. As has been stated, this is a beginner's guide, and I only have less than 20 minutes to introduce us to what is actually known as open science, open access. The title of the webinar is Community over Commercialization. So from the introduction, the outline, I will look at the meaning of open science, the principles of open science school of thought. We are going to look at the politics of open science, and we'll look at the pros and cons of open science. What are the advantages? Then finally, we look at the initiators or initiatives on open science. To start with, when we say open science, we have issue with Newton and Leibniz, who are some of our great scientists. They were arguments as regard who was the first discovery or who first discovered calculus. It was at the same time when Albert Newton published calculus that Newton also published calculus. So they had to share the glory of who published and who invented calculus. This happened because of lack of open science at that time. If their information has been published publicly, everyone have had access to the information, then probably Newton, who claimed to have discovered calculus 2 or 3, 5 years before Leibniz discovered it. But unfortunately, both of them published at the same time, but the knowledge was not known to all the world. So this is one of the disadvantage of when science were closed. So we also have open science was first mentioned in the year 1975, and Steve Mann claimed to have made mention of that in one of his books titled Open Science, Closed Science, and Discovery of Human Development. So when we talk of closed science, that is more or less the opposite. Closed science in this stage, when we say closed, it means not accessible. It means behind paid wall. It means confidential information. When we say closed, it simply means it is restricted information. So all these are the opposite of open science. So to make open science more understandable and to have legal backing, we have what is known as Creative Commons licensing. This is a bill that has been passed which has various streams. Part of the Creative Commons licensing is give us a copyright or a fair use right to use resources without monetary attachment. So let's dive in. What is open science? As I have said, that closed science are things that are not open or not accessible by everybody in the public. They are not on the public domain. But when we say open mean non-paid for. Open mean accessible without restriction. So when we say open science is actually a movement that makes scientific research, scientific data, scientific code, scientific educational resources, and publication freely available to everyone without barriers. When we say without barriers, we are saying without language barriers. That is, the information available in Chinese are made available in English language as well, because language can actually be a barrier. When we say without barrier, we mean without technological barrier. That is, you have access to the internet to download the information. When we say without barrier, we mean financial or socio-economic barrier without necessarily paying any amount. So open science is here to make information available and also to help us grow as a scientist, as community, and as human being. So to help drive the meaning of open science is an umbrella term that comprises all these 6 principles. One principle is open research. I'm now discussing the principle of open science, which we can also call the element of open stand on 6 pillars. And one of it is open research and open methodology. Why are we discussing this? When knowledge is locked, when knowledge is not made accessible, then it make community, national and global development difficult. So we have some caliber of people like librarians, like researchers, like scientists who are advocating for access to information and research, free access. Then we have open source. Open source has to do with data as source, has to do with softwares, ability to make use of information without payment. We have open data. There is what we call data management or research data management, whereby when we collect our data, we tend to hide the data and only publish the information. But here we are advocating that all your questionnaire, all your SPSS results should have a data bank where others can also have access to them. We also have open access. Open access to electronic databases like EBSCOs, like Ilari, like Research for Life, like JSTOR, like all these databases that we use. We are advocating that they should be accessible without paying for them. And we are going to see the reason as we continue in this presentation. Also, we are looking at education peer review, open peer review. This is open peer review. We know that in academic, when you publish, your paper must undergo peer review by other established scholars. But these peer reviewers are done under the closeness of the author, and they have ethical reason to step down your paper. So we are now advocating that peer review should be done openly, and anyone whose paper are not published know the reason why it's not being published. Then we also have the last aspect of principle of open science is the aspect of open educational resources. This is the access to anything educational resources, as starting from ebooks, multimedia resources, videotapes, magazines, charts, anything that has to do with education must be made available right from cradle to what? To higher learning. No restriction. So this has been the principle that uphold open science. So open science is an umbrella term that inculcate all this, and mostly in librarianship we make emphasis on open access and open sources, which is just an aspect of open science. So as I have said, open science is meant to make knowledge available, accessible to all without restriction. So what are the 5 open science school of thought? In the advocating for open science, we have some school of thought that are advocating for segregation, or they are looking it for different dimension. The first one is the infrastructural school of thought. This school of thought emphasize that for sciences to be open access, then there should be a tangible infrastructural facility, and most especially as regard internet access. So the school of thought is advocating that government should sponsor infrastructure that will enhance accessibility to information. Also, the second school of thought is measurement school of thought. This school of thought is mainly differentiating the difference between webometric and altmetric. Webometric does not simply mean arithmetics. Webometrics is just the amount of time your work cited by a particular journal. But this school of thought is saying that for your work to be more feasible, it has to be measured by an individual input, which has to do with metrics. Then we have the public school of thought, which believe that all public or government sponsored resources must be freely available online. And we have the demographic like democratic school of thought, which has to do with majority takes the bowl. That is, when the information is derived from majority, then it should be freely available. Then the last one among the school of thought when it comes to open science is pragmatic school of thought. This pragmatic school of thought emphasized that the open access or open was as a result of development in ICT, and most especially Web 2.0. There is connection or collaboration between the sender and the receiver. Okay, so that is that on the school of thought. So the next we are looking at is the politics of open science. We should know that according to, it said that taxpayer who would have to pay again to read the results. This is the reason why people are advocating that all publicly funded information resources must be openly accessible. When government sponsor research, for example, in Nigeria, we have TED Fund. TED Fund published lately that they have spent nothing less than 50 billion to sponsor lecturers across public university on various research. So those research should also be published and made available for people for free. But because of we have the three big fish in publishing, we have the Taylor and Francis, we have the Wiley, we have Science Direct, Elsevier. So these big fish are actually contributing to making sure that payments are made before we can read our results. Because the interesting thing is that government paid taxpayer money to researcher to publish, the researcher publish and send it to publisher, and the publisher also sell it to the university library for them to pay for subscription. So this is actually against the ethics of research and advocating for public science. So what are the advantages of open science? The first advantages is that it make science resource rigorous review. What do I mean? We have lately that most of researches or results on public researches are made available on social media. For example, on Twitter, we have argument going on DNA gen transformation or affecting or technicality in affecting the human gene. Should it be researched upon? There are a lot of arguments on social media why it should be done and why it should not be done. This is one of the advantage when resources or when research are openly available. Another thing is the availability. It make findings on scientific research openly available. And please, when we say open science is not restricted to only science discipline. The science there also include human science, animal science, humanity, social science, arts, and education. So it all encompasses. It doesn't restrict itself to sciences as we know it to be. Also, advantage of open access is that it helps in it help reproduce an existing research. A research that was done in America with access to the resources that were used can also reproduce in China. Also, it also creates more impact when we talk about learning and also impact in our development. And lastly, it make available knowledge for national, global development. However, there are some disadvantages of open access, and one of it is data ownership crisis. When information are made public, then it's more difficult to identify the owner of the data. Another disadvantage is misuse of data. We have data or information that are produced, mostly scientific information, but are used for another purpose, like biological weapon, like the COVID-19. COVID-19 was a scientific research that boomerang and become a threat to national and global crisis. So we have misunderstanding by public. The general public are not conversant with scientific research. So when they heard of research, they may.
Hello, Dr. Aziz, are you there? Hello, Dr. Aziz. Dr. Fatima, can you hear me? Let's confirm if it's just from my end.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think it's from Dr. Aziz's end,
Okay.
right? Okay, we just
Yeah, I
lost
think
him.
he just dropped
Okay, we
now.
just lost him.
Yeah.
I'm suspecting, I think maybe it was just a network glitch. He will come back. But while he's coming, I would just like to do a brief recap. I wouldn't want to do a thorough. Okay, I think I see him now. I see him now. Let me just allow him come to round up his session.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, Dr. Aziz. Sorry about that. Dr. Aziz, welcome back.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, there were breakage in the communication. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. So I've tried to explain. Yeah, I'm rounding off actually. I've been able to establish the meaning of open science. That open science are availability of information which are openly available without restriction, not necessarily financial, but also language, but also include technology and also include accessibility. So I've explained that we have pillars of open science, which include open research or open methodology. We have open data. We have open access. We have open source. We also have what is known as um, open educational resources. I've been able to explain that we have several school of thought when it comes to open science. And we have pragmatic school of thought, we have the measurement school of thought, we have democratic school of thought, and we also have the democratic school of thought. And finally, I said that there are policies involved in public open access. And these are that government allocate some amount of money for open access, and also the money go back to government because they are going to still pay for researchers and taxpayer to access the result. So on final note, I want to appreciate the organizer of this webinar for the opportunity given to create awareness on the need for researchers to make their information available on open access. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow. I'm just taking a note from what you said. Pardon me, I was carried away. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc. I don't know. I don't want to. You did the recap of what you taught us already. So, what I would just do is I'm going to refer to a comment in the comment section by Jato Victor. Jato Victor has just made a comment, and that stems from I just highlighted something you said during your presentation. You said some of the big fishes in publishing are Taylor and Francis, Science Direct, and Wiley. And immediately I highlighted that. I saw that Jato Victor had also commented. He said, "Big fishes must be silenced." Um, we are going to discuss this briefly while I bring Sarah on board. But we're going to discuss this briefly. I'm going to invite Dr. Okaiko and Dr. Fatima if they are available to turn on their cameras, so we could just talk briefly about this. I will just bring a little of my experience. The my first I don't yeah should I say my real encounter with open access, especially open educational resources, was during the COVID-19 period. Now, the courses I did, the trainings I was able to attend, many, even Wiley databases and some of these databases you mentioned, they made their resources open during that COVID-19 period. I was able to download resources. Our most many libraries were just downloading because databases were open. So, and I know that the result was very obvious. There was a lot of productivity across board, and access to COVID-19 information was made available. So, by this comment, big fishes must be silenced. I want to ask a question to the panelists right now: that in what ways does commercialization of research hinder equitable access? Because let's not forget the theme for this week's should I say celebration. So it's community over commercialization. So in what way is commercialization hindering equitable access, and how does open access frameworks address these barriers? Maybe we'll start with anybody. Anybody can go first, please. Oh, maybe I should mention someone. Dr. Fatima.
Yeah.
Oh, Ukaiko take the lead here. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Commercialization. Well, can you hear me? Can we all hear me?
loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Wizard Librarian, for the brilliant presentation. It was a very good and eye opener, to understand the basics of open science. Now, commercialization. Commercialization means you want the output, you want to get some form of gain, either financial gain or whatever from research. And actually, nobody is against the commercialization, but then when you're commercializing, it should not be at the detriment of the common people. You should not, because you want to commercialize, limit access to research findings. Remember, like Wizard Librarian mentioned in his presentation, that most of the researches they are already funded. Take, for instance, a TET fund, a research that is funded by TET fund in Nigeria, and then you are now publishing using a platform that is closed, using any of the three big fishes that he mentioned. And then we, Nigerians, for example, we now have to pay to have access to that. That is commercialization. You are paying to gain access to something that your government had already paid for. So two things will happen if you are commercializing. Number one, you limit access to the findings, and then number two, it will hinder the development, of your country, because the essence of conducting the research in the first place is for you to use the findings to develop your country. Now, if it is closed and you have to now pay for it, then that development will be hindered. So I think this year's open science theme is apt, which is community over commercialization. So that common good should be in our mind, and then we need to keep promoting the essence of research for development rather than commercialization. So thank you very
Thank you.
much, digital librarian.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Kaiko, can we have your take?
Yes, thank you very much. And really, thank you, Wizard Librarian, for that presentation. I was also a student of yours today, so it was really good. I don't want to overstate what Dr. Fatima has just said, but it's true. And maybe the question for me is, are we still living in a high tower as academics? Because we know that education itself also is a barrier to many people around the world. So when we have data that's not open access, what happens is that people continue to be marginalized. So we know how it is being a student around the world. It's not just a Nigerian problem, but it's a problem. Once you're a student, you're depending probably on your community, your family, well wishers, somebody to help you pay for that education that you're trying to attain. So when we make information accessible through that paywall, what it does is it continues to create that limitation to somebody who's still thriving, trying to survive in life. And we're doing is that we're still limiting people's development, as Doctor has said. So I remember, if I can just share a story. I remember when I was a student in the U.S. doing my master's, we were required to use some of the textbooks that those professors had actually developed. You can't go through those classes without buying the books. So those books used to be in the bookshop, and you had to go and buy it. You could either buy the brand new version or the used version. This is before things went online, and you could buy like, you could still get them on Amazon, whatever, but they had the bookshops there, so you'd go and buy them. The good thing is that when you finish the semester, you could go and resell it to the bookshop and get something back. But you can imagine, as an international student, you're in a foreign land, you're trying to make it, and you're being forced to buy those books. So, what open access does is it allows everyone around the world to have access to information and knowledge. And as we heard, when that happens, of course, research builds on research. So, when that happens, it means that we ourselves can also have research. We ourselves can also progress in contributing to those discussions abroad. Because, as you said, up until COVID happened, it was so expensive to get some of those, or even impossible to get some of those documents. So until they gave open access to a lot of the world, and even for their own people, then people could actually go online and continue with the research in a global pandemic. Lastly, I just wanted to contribute and say, I know that what has happened in Kenya, like with my university, because I forgot to mention, I'm also in the library committee for my university, and I've been for like maybe 8 years or so. What happens is that in Kenya, a lot of the universities have come together. So I'm in a private higher education institution. What the universities have done is come together so that they buy the rights for these, what you're talking about, Taylor Francis. Like when I'm doing my research and I go to Google and I see the document is in Taylor Francis, I have a paywall. I go to my university website and they've paid for it. I can access it there. So the thing that they have done is they can't pay for it on their own as an institution, but as a group, what they did is they were able to lower the rates so that our universities here have that advantage. So that's what I just wanted to say. Maybe universities in Nigeria could think about that route as well. Thank you.
Yeah, not just Nigeria, but I see we have participation from across Africa currently. We have Kenya, we have South Africa, we have Nigeria here. So I believe all these ideas, I've been able to feature the comments from Dr. Bashiru, Dr. Ngozi Osuchuku. She also said something about, she said countries and scholars in developing countries cannot afford closed access. Commercialization is limited. So this webinar, like I said, will just be an attempt by all of us, every one of us here, to lend our voice to promotion of open access practices across the globe. And I'm glad to see beautiful comments here. I cannot read all of them, but I hope we go through the comments to see those wonderful opinions. So, having said that, I would love to quickly take our next speaker, the person of Sarah Yop Gyang. She's here already, and let me quickly introduce her. You know, she was having a little challenge joining us, so I'm just going to share my screen again and introduce her to us. She was, yeah, this is Sarah Gyang, and she's based in Jos, University of Jos, and she's one amazing person, supportive person that I've seen in Nigeria here, doing so many wonderful works. She's a seasoned paraprofessional library staff with extensive expertise in accounting, information science, and data science. She's part of the team driving improvements in digital infrastructure and information management within the University of Jos Library. So this is one of the brains behind all the innovations you see in University of Jos Library. And Madam Yop, thank you so much. Good afternoon, and how are you, ma'am? Madam Sarah, can you hear me? Your mic. Dr. Aziz and Dr. Fatima, we would like you to stay back because at the end, we're going to have a final, we have about 30 minutes to go, and then for us to have a final questions and comments at the end, immediately after Sarah's presentation. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much. And sorry for all the stress we've put you through today. I'm glad you could make it. Will you be sharing your screen so that I know how to do that?
Okay,
Or will you be
yeah,
taking
I
some
would
slide
love
over
to
to me?
share my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I would love to share my screen, but okay. So I'm trying to go on video so you can see me,
All right,
but
that'll be fine.
it's
So
trying to, I
while,
don't know.
while she's at that, I'd like everyone to know that Madam Sarah actually inspired this webinar. She sent me a message and she said, "Won't I be organizing something on the in the area of open access?" And I said, "Yes, I would have loved to, but the time is so short, and with her push and everything, we are here today." And she inspired all this, and then we collaborated with Dr. Fatima. Thank you so much for all you do, ma'am. We're glad to have you again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm still not able to come on video, so I don't
Okay.
know what to do. I've been
Oh,
clicking on the video sign and it's not
oh, sorry. I think
okay.
another way to solve that is to click on settings and go to videos and see which of your camera is active, or
Okay,
maybe if another app is using your video camera, it may not work, something like that.
okay.
Yeah. However, we have some questions on the screens. Taiwo Ajayi is asking, Madam Taiwo, how can we solve African problem if solutions are hidden and we have access to other clients' information? We need to make our research results open so we can develop. So this is not actually a question, but Madam Taiwo, Dr. Taiwo is actually, I believe, I hope this is Dr. Taiwo of Lagos. She's actually lending her voice to say that we need to put our research results out there so that there can be more productivity. And yeah, I think that's the point she's trying to make. And she's saying librarians should take the lead now. Librarians should take the lead now. So, what about your screen? Why we can actually manage without your video for now, but if we can see your screen, we can go ahead with that. Or
Okay,
if you
okay, okay,
can share your
okay.
slide,
That's fine. Yeah, I
uh
can share my slide.
or you share your
Um,
screen, any one of them.
okay, let me do that.
Or okay, Dr. Aziz is here. He was supposed to give a comment. Dr. Aziz, on the big marketer or the big fishes in publishing,
Yeah.
somebody said we need to silence them. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Yeah, it will be very difficult, I must say, because interestingly, they are also the lead player in open access. Yeah, they are also advocating for open access, and they are smart to make some of the portion of their journal to be on open access. But you and I know what it takes to publish on open access. You may spend
Exactly.
quite a number of months before your work will be published compared to when it's paid. So it will be challenging, I must say. Thank you.
Yeah. So you are beginning to even give us more disadvantages, or is that, should I say that's a
Yes.
disadvantage or just a minor shortcoming of
It
open
is a
access
current
publishing?
challenge that we have to work towards. Yes,
Okay.
but I know that Ajo is doing a great work, and Dohaj, to make sure that African publishers are visible online, so we can navigate Dohaj to publish some of our work. I know they are working greatly and doing well when it comes to open access. And not it doesn't take longer time as compared to when you publish on open access in the Taylor and Francis and the rest of them. So
Okay.
we must advocate for Africa. Thank you.
Well, well, thank you. Now, Sarah, are you ready?
Almost.
Okay. No,
So
that's
sorry.
fine. That's fine.
I'm trying
Understand.
to.
Bashiru says researchers can navigate the complexities of commercialization while upholding principles of openness, ensuring that their work benefits both the scientific community and society at large. And then there's somebody else here that says, okay, the person's statement is not complete, but I hope he completes it. Okay, he has completed it. Onyenkami Gabriel says open access enables young researchers to navigate through various sources, But then I actually have a lot of questions in the panel when we start engaging even participants, because we are all advocating for open access. Like I explained earlier, the US government spends billions of dollars in funding these platforms. Who pays for this open access that we are actually clamoring for? How does the funding come? And these are areas that first timers and enthusiasts in the aspect of open access would also love to learn about when we engage in the conversation, hopefully. So
Yeah, you are right. So Dr. Bashiru was the one you called earlier from Redeemers
yes,
University. He's also
yes.
a scholar as regards the open assets. And
Wow.
his comment is actually opt, and we know that we are getting there as an African. Thank you.
Exactly, exactly. That's nice. So everyone, apologies. Just technical challenges, and yes, serious slide.
I don't know if you can.
Yes, I think
What are you
it's
seeing, please?
loading. It's loading. It's loading. I
Okay.
believe it will show very soon. It's turning. Okay, it's not okay. It's not coming up. It's not coming up.
Up till now.
No, it's still turning. Still loading. Another option, if it will take you a moment to just drop it on my WhatsApp, anyone I can share with you from here. You can just, yes, you can
Okay.
share it with me and then I can display it for you, ma.
Okay.
So sorry.
So
So, Dr. Aziz,
no
please
problem.
pardon me. I'm going to be saving our time by asking you some of the questions that we have prepared for the interactive session. I hope that is fine, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Very fine.
Okay. But let's see. It's like someone just joined. Let's see. Dr. Fatima just came back. Dr.
Yeah,
Fatima, welcome.
welcome, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Fatima, you and Dr. Aziz would like to take a couple of questions while we set up Sarah's screen to present. So that we save our time. We are supposed to round up by 2:30. It's a 1 hour 30 minutes program, and I'd like to ask a question from some of the questions we've outlined that we need to ask today. The first one is still related to this community over commercialization, and I would like to ask what steps can researchers actually take to ensure that their work remains accessible and beneficial to their local communities, despite the pressure to publish in commercialized journals. Before you came on board, Dr. Aziz was already saying that it's almost inevitable to silence the big fishes.
Yeah.
So, but in a society where we are now, where there's pressure to publish in these paid journals, what can researchers now do, ma'am?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. You see, number one thing that we actually need to deal with is this issue of publish or perish, and the pressure on lecturers to publish in certain kinds of journals, especially the big three, for them to get promotion. So we need to work around policies that would not limit researchers to publishing in those platforms alone. And then another thing we need to start thinking of is strengthening our local journals. Okay, what makes them big three? We made them big three because we are the one that is publishing there, and we keep on putting them in high ranking. So let us look inward and think of strengthening our journals.
Code
African
close.
journals for African researchers. Like Aziz mentioned earlier about IJOL, of course, it's not all IJOL is just an aggregator of journals in Africa. Not all of them are open access. Okay, some are running diamond open access publishing model. Some they are still trying to do gold and a little of green open access publishing and all that.
Okay.
Okay, but then we need to start strengthening our journal, our communication platforms ourselves, so that we can now start publishing in a journal for Africa by Africans and for promoting African development. The third one is this what's it called, issue of floating our institutional repositories. There are initiatives here and there that is aimed at using the repository as a publishing platform. You know, the way our institutional repository is working now is just like an archive for our publications where people can have free access, open access to our journals. Now there's an update in some of these institutional repositories where you can use your repository as a publishing platform. So that's where, if you are from Footmina, you can publish on your repository, and the repository will assign DOI to it. The repository will make it visible, and then it is for the institution. There is no barrier anywhere, and then people can have access to it. So if an institution can leverage their institutional repository to promote content that is coming out, then it will help us with a lot with our visibility. So I think we just have to start looking inward, because it is where there's an adage that says that it is where you water that will be green. So we need to start thinking of watering our own
Mm.
African communication platforms and make it green, attractive, visible, and then we can now support it with policies from our institutions that would not mandate researchers and lecturers to publish in a particular platform for them to get
Wow.
assessments
Wow.
or to get promotion. Yeah, that's one for now.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, ma. Because this is a recorded session, I'm going to be trying so much not to buttress or repeat comments that any of you make. But then that's really very so much so insightful. There are great ideas from what you said, ma. Before I'll invite Dr. Aziz to answer this particular question, I would like for you to briefly tell us about Lipsense Open Science in Nigeria. What's the work that
Yeah,
your team does, and how are you
yeah,
advocating and promoting open science in Nigeria? If you could quickly
yeah.
speak to that for
Okay, so quickly, thank you so much, digital librarian. LipSense Open Science Nigeria is a group of very passionate and scholars, librarians precisely, from 8 universities in Nigeria, from FUTSMINA, University of Nigeria Nsukka, Redeemers University, Lead City University, University of Lagos, LASUSTEC, that's Lagos State University of Science and Technology, Ignatius Ajuri University, and some of them are here, interestingly, and they are the ones that have been making those comments that you're seeing. Dr. Taiwa Ajayi is on this call.
wow,
Dr. Basiru Adetomiwa is here. I can also see Dr. Sophia Adeyeye and a host of others. Okay, we are all passionate librarians that are promoting conversations around open
Yes,
open
yes.
science, and we've been doing a lot. We've been able to inform
Wonderful. Yes,
policies,
yes, yes.
policies in universities that are now supporting open access. They are supporting open platforms, the use of institutional repositories. We're also running capacity building programs for librarians, especially around open science infrastructure, because we believe that we need to strengthen ourselves before we can effectively contribute to open science. We're also building capacities around research methodologies and academic integrity, and a host of others. I'm sure you've been seeing some of our flyers here and there,
yes,
open science, LipSense Open Science, and
yeah,
at the recent national NLA National Conference in Port Harcourt, we co-located an event with the NLA where we still try to engage librarians on what they should do, in starting the conversations around open science, and then the infrastructure that are available, the funding opportunities, and all that. And let me drop this here. I know funding might be a challenge, but interestingly, TET Fund, as the only national funding agency that we have in Nigeria, they are actually pro open science, in the sense that if you want to float a departmental journal and you want it open access and you are bothered about how to get the funding, TED Fund is a place that's where you can start with. TED Fund will
yeah,
support you financially so that you don't have to push the burden of funding your journal on researchers. That way you can
okay,
effectively run Diamond Open Access. There was a
okay,
report that was compiled by Dr. Basiru Adetomiwa from the Redeemers University and the Open Science community. All of us, we worked on a report on the Diamond Open Access journals that are in Nigeria, and we're able to get about 21 open access journal that, despite the challenges, they've have been able to sustain effort around publishing with no charges from the researcher or from people that wants to read. So about 21 journals is not it's a good start actually compared to other African countries. I think we are doing well in Nigeria. And then, like Mr. Bolaji Oladoku mentioned, the NLA journal, that is the Nigerian libraries, just recently migrated from Majol, to Bolt Scholar, which they promised to run as a Diamond Open Access journal. So Nigerian libraries, the Journal of NLA, Nigerian Library Association, is now open access. It means you can send your articles there, no charge, and people can download and read your article free of charge. And then lastly, AGLISE, that's African Journal of Library, Archival and Information Studies, managed by Professor Elu Aino and a host of other seasoned professionals in LIS. They are also migrating to open science, Diamond open access publishing
Diamond
precisely.
Open Access, yeah.
Yes, Diamond Open Access, where there is no fee for you to publish and people don't have to pay $5 to download your article. So those are initiatives that are supporting African researches for African development. And they are all platforms, that are trying to promote this essence, this issue of open
So
science.
you go
Because when
Allah.
you look at it, it is us
This
that will
has been
benefit the
nice.
most from this movement.
I'm
Because when
telling
you
you.
talk of limited funding, it is Africans that are complaining of limited funding. So why are we not embracing open science in in its entirety? So I think it's good news for us in Nigeria, and we are getting there, and the conversation is becoming very, very loud and clear.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. Dr. Fatima says the conversation around open science, open access is becoming very, very loud. It's becoming very, very loud. Dr. Aziz, there's a question here that I'd like you to answer. Dr. Ngozi has been asking. This is the second time she's asking. She says, I am still asking, is our Joel open? Is our
Okay.
Joel open?
Yeah. Ajo actually is an aggregator
Yeah,
of
it is.
journals. It's not a publishing
It is
outlet.
not a
It's
publishing
just an
platform. Yeah.
aggregator for journals where you can search for information. So it's a journal aggregator or
Journals from
database
Africa.
aggregator, not a publishing outlet. Yes,
Yeah.
African
So,
journals.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's quickly also
Yeah, and in
acknowledge
addition to
Dr.
that,
Bolaji. He
sorry,
has been
digital.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you very much. So, in addition to what Dr. Aziz Adioye said about Agile, I was going through the collections. There are quite a lot of open access journals there. I saw the journal of the University of Darus Salam University Library Journal. It's open access. Ghana Library Journal is on Agile. It's open access. And a host of
Yes.
other library journals from Egypt, from I'm not sure. Did I find any on LIS from Nigeria? But Agile, like we all know, is an aggregator. You have journals from different disciplines, but the only specific thing about AJOL is that they are journals from Africa. So whether you're publishing open access or closed access, diamond open access publishing, green, gold, or whatever publishing model you're using, once you're from Africa and you meet up with some of their requirements, that's consistency in publication and every other thing. You have a well-defined peer review process and everything. You get indexed on AJOL. Yeah, thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. So, I'm about bringing up now. But before I do that, I just wanted to acknowledge the beautiful comments we've been receiving from our virtual participants. Dr. Bolaji Oladokun has been amazing. Dr. Taiwo Ajayi, even though I know she said she was going to be at work by this hour of the day, she has been here. Thank you so much. And in addition, Dr. Bolaji is saying that Taylor and Francis, Emirate, Sage, Wiley, and Science Direct journals, they are mostly indexed in databases of Scopus, Simango, WS, even
They
the
own it
Ajol.
now.
Uh-huh. And here he's saying even their job that was mentioned is not free for journals. And I think that's the point Dr. Ngozi was trying to make. So I really appreciate that. Personally, I am learning so much already. And because, like I said, I'm an enthusiast. And from all this, we know where best to do start our publishing from, and we know how to, as librarians, advise lecturers and scholars in our various institutions as it concerns open access. So, having said that, Yob, over to you. Are you there? Hello, Sarah. So let's just take the final question here for Dr. Aziz. Dr. Aziz, the- for many
Thank you
people,
so.
you see why we chose that particular topic for you to take for beginners. The concept of open science is still shaky a little. So I would like to ask, what do you see?
Danasini danafuti ya flash tundazu so that we use it in n'aka.
Mute her mic. Dr.
Bible
Aziz,
go
what do you
efisɛ mi de body
see
Yeah,
as the most
there is a
uh, somebody's mic is okay. That's your. What is the most common misconception that people have about open science? Because this is just us trying to do a literacy program for open science. So what are those misconceptions and that you may want to just clear about open science? Because for instance, number one, it can be assumed that somebody can just pick your work and then reproduce. That's a misconception. So, some few works published in open science platforms, they do not have quality. Is that true? So I don't know how you'd like to respond to that.
yeah. Thank you so much. It will be interesting for us to also look at creative online sensing. It aspects of open science and open really understand what creative common licensing mean, then it will be easier for us to debunk all the misconceptions. Because creative common access state that for every resources that is found online, and most importantly is that there is commercial right, economic right, and acknowledgement or moral rights. When you use work online, it is morally obligatory that you reference the work. And social rights or economic right is what we are removing from open science. It does not debunk the moral rights. So if you publish on open science, it make your work more accessible, it make you more cited, it increase your H index as a scholar, and also it reduce the cost, the financial implication on your work. And however, open science publishing take longer time. I've said that before because when you publish on open access, you are not paying anything, and the person that will review your work also is doing it on pro bono without paying anything. So all these come together may make it give it a longer time before being published. So because of all this, but nevertheless, you are assured that your work will be published and it will be available for general access. And that will increase knowledge and also your recognition in your field. So I know is coming up, and things for new ideas, people are skeptical. But as time goes on with this kind of webinar, and a lot of writing has been done on open access, open science, open research, open methodology, open educational resources. All these are components of open science. Conception will reduce and way of disseminating our research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, having said that, we are just few minutes before we bring this program to a close. I have just two more questions, and then we'll bring this program to a close. But don't let's not forget, I promised that we're going to be making a big announcement, and I want to make that announcement before we close. But before that, if you check the screen, your top left, is it here? Where am I pointing? Um, okay, yes. Top left here, you see the survey, or should I say attendance? The survey, you see it here. If you are using your laptop, all you need to do is just scan this QR code, and you'll be able to take the survey. And what I'm promising is, I think it's okay to drop your email addresses here, or if you are in the Upskill community, drop your email address Upskill community on WhatsApp. Drop your email addresses there, or drop them in the comment section. That's where we'll be sending the certificates to. Please just drop your emails there. We'll be sending the certificates there, where you will be able to customize your certificates and print. Then, for those who cannot scan the QR code, I'm posting the survey link here. Posting it here. It will only take about 3 minutes of your time. So I'm posting the link here. So you can copy this link and yeah, thank you. I see your emails. I promise between today and tomorrow, we are going to send you all the slides, the recording for this workshop, then every other thing, as well as the big announcements we said we're going to make, announcing some of the closed products or programs in the Upskill and Connect Village, making them open for every one of us. So, having said that, I think I should make that announcement. They will come and take final words. We'll come back and take final words from our panelists. So, let me just share my screen and make that announcement. We have like 2 minutes to go. So, the announcement goes like this, like this. Yes. So here is the big announcement. The big announcement will be announced on the 16th of November 2024. Okay, should I say the big announcement is today, but the release date is on the 16th of November 2024. And what is that announcement? The announcement is a very important course, a very important resource, an international workshop that was organized in collaborations with a couple of institutions in Nigeria and LibTech, tagged Library Automation Made Easy. Those of us who are librarians here must have come across that particular workshop, and you'd agree that that workshop was closed immediately after the event and made accessible to only those who registered and to some eligible participants. As part of the activities to mark the International Open Access Week, the Upskill and Connect Village, as well as the Digital Librarian, is making this course available for free. For free. It's like about close to 4 hours of learning. 4 hours of learning library automation, and the lives of many librarians and professionals have been changed by this training, and we're going to be making it open. The announcements will be made for those in the Upskill and Connect community. Also, another access to a 3-module course, which is a total of about 6 or 7 hours, will be made that same day for those who would like to learn about how to master and monetize AI tools. A practical session to boost your creativity, productivity, and income. Now, some of you who know me, we've been doing AI, teaching AI and how people can use it for productivity. This particular course actually gives you access to learn AI tools and how you can use it to generate revenue for yourself, and it will be made open for free. So I don't know, nobody's happy about that. If you're happy about that, at least please let us know and drop some up. Yes, thank you. I see Dr. Aziz clapping. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much, Dr. Aziz. And Dr. Fatima is back. Thank you so much, Dr. Aziz. And
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Fatima, you know
Yeah,
I'm
thank
learning
you.
from you. We just made 2 very premium courses available.
Open access is the way. No barrier.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, so here's a feedback from David Okaku. He He says, I personally enjoy the contributions of all scholars. By all scholars, he's talking about Dr. Fatima, Dr. Aziz, and Dr. Okaiko and everyone here. He says it was very enriching and a time well spent. I'm glad to hear that feedback. And having said that, we are going to now round up this webinar for today. But as we round up the webinar, I would like to ask Yop to just give her final words. Yop, welcome back, Yop. Madam Sarah. Are you there, Madam Sarah? Madam Sarah.
I am here.
Okay,
Can you
so I
hear
don't
me?
know. Yeah, we can hear you. Are you able to, in the next 5 minutes, give us your take, lend your voice to open access before we close for today?
Okay, so can you hear me, please?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, all right. So first of all, let me apologize for the hitch. I am so embarrassed because I want to believe that I was prepared, but somehow technology has pushed me out. But then um maybe to lend my voice, I would just maybe go through what I had prepared for this event. And we I was actually supposed to talk about balancing the academic integrity and global access in the digital age. And uh-huh. So sorry, I needed to reduce. So why are we talking about this? This is to help us explore how open digital publishing and integrity intersect and examine strategies to balance these priorities. So, what is academic refers to whole honesty, respect, and scholarly work. How important is it? It protects the credibility of research, ensures quality trust. Now, what is the major challenge for this? The major challenge is that the online environment can introduce issues like plagiarism, data falsification, and then the misuse of publicly available research. Now, what what is digital transformation in academic publishing? What does it do? It helps in rapid dissemination of research, that is allows quick sharing of new findings through reprints and preprint servers and then open access journals. It helps in expanding the reach, that is research is accessible to a global audience, supporting open science and open access and then community based research. The academic integrity and global access that we're talking about. One of it, like I've said earlier, is plagiarism and misuse of open access materials. The more accessible research is, the greater the risk of the misuse without proper citations or acknowledgement. We have the issues of quality control because open access models sometimes lack rigorous peer review, leading to possible quality and integrity issues. And then we come to talk about predatory journals because that is also an issue when it comes to open access. Now, these journals exploit open access by publishing low quality research for profit, compromising academic standards. Now, how do we balance this integrity with access? One, we need to enhance peer review, maintaining rigorous peer review processes in all publishing, even for open access and preprint publications. Now, then you need to educate on responsible use, that is promoting proper citations, acknowledgement, and then ethical use of open access resources. Then we talk about technological tools. That's leveraging on things like plagiarism detection, detecting softwares and data authenticity tools to ensure research quality and originality. Uh, Quickly, what are the best practices for researchers and institutions? Now, one, you can choose reputable or open access platforms, that is to publish on platforms that prioritize integrity and then rigorous peer review. You can use licenses wisely. Somebody had talked about Creative Commons. Now, Creative Commons licensing helps protect work while sharing it openly, specifying the permissible uses of that research or that work. You can also encourage ethical scholarships, that is train your scholars, train researchers, like what we are trying to do now, on the importance of maintaining academic integrity, and then even with freely accessible resources. So there are resources that you can use to do that training. Now, what is the role of technology in maintaining the integrity? I'll still go back to plagiarism detection. There are different tools that you can use. There is data authenticity. That is using like blockchain technology that is being explored to use uh, time timestamp for data to verify the authenticity of the original publishers. Right? We have metadata and DOIs. Dr. Fatima had talked about institutional repositories and other things, and then assigning DOIs and metadata ensures that research is easily traceable, crediting the original authors. Just to round up, there are policies and frameworks that we can use to support the balance, right? You can have institutional policies, you can have the funders' roles, that's funding bodies like the NIH and Welcome Trust that promotes open access with integrity requirements, including data sharing and verification. And then there are legal frameworks also that that's part of the copyright and intellectual property laws evolving to a better support for open access while protecting the authors. So, in summary, to balance the integrity and access is very essential to support and to promote trustworthy, inclusive research in the digital era. While for me, open access promotes global knowledge sharing, maintaining academic standard is key to protecting the scholarly credibility of the research. So we encourage responsible, ethical use of digital resources and advocate for institutional support for open access, open science, open data with integrity checks. I am so sorry once again. I hope this counts for something. Thank you, Digital Librarian, for this platform, and thank you for all the panelists that were busy helping out so that we'll be able to have. Thank you.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! If you ask me, I would say don't even say sorry again because I see Dr. Fatima nodding her head. You nailed it. Actually, you gave a
Yeah, she
very
did.
you gave a very grand closing to this webinar, and
Mhm.
your opinion or the area you came from, it's more of the last comments I would want every one of us as resource persons to give right now. You gave very useful advice as regards ethical considerations and balancing integrity and all that. I was just writing what you were saying before you rounded up. Maintaining standard is key to upholding the credibility of research while we are doing open access, while we are practicing open science and all that. So I want to say thank you so much, Ma. And don't be embarrassed. Everything went well. This is a recording. Everyone can come back to watch the video at any time. And there, at different points of this video, there are huge lessons for everyone. And I'm really glad we've learned today. So, final words from each one of us. We're going to be starting with Dr. Aziz, and your final words should be around this. What message would you like to share with academic leaders, librarians, and researchers on taking steps toward a more open, collaborative, should I say, a more accessible research culture? especially librarians now, what role do you think we should play? What message are you sending to everyone out there? That's our final words. Let's take 1 minute each as we close.
Yeah,
Dr.
thank you so much
Aziz.
for having me. I'm very grateful, and it's really delightful to be here. And so, our final word is actually a growing concern. I'm saying that again. It is a growing concern. Open access does not end only when the UNESCO World Open Access Day ends. So let us, our corner, be an active advocate as we encourage our lecturers, our academia, our researcher to submit their research work to library institutional repository. And in libraries also, let's organize soft skill workshop to educate our users on the essence of making their research available, because availability is a factor to use, and use increase our productivity as researchers. Thank you.
Wow, wow, thank you so much. A word, just pick the nuggets from what they are saying. Dr. Fatima, over to you.
Okay, mine would be that as librarians, let's start engaging our university management. Let's start by placing the library as the center of open science. We need to be bold in starting this conversation. Let
Wow.
our university management know the need for research assessment reforms. Let them know that policies should be things that would promote our visibility as researchers, and not things that will stress us while we're trying to contribute, to development of Nigeria. So I think it starts with policy. We need to start engaging the university management. We need to start replacing, place the library as the center for open science. It should be where everybody can come to learn about open science. And lastly, we need to be open ourselves. Start by creating your presence on ORCID. There's an open science infrastructure. Have an account on ORCID and put all your publications there. Let people see what you're doing. When you are open as a librarian, then you can now encourage other researchers to be open as well. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. So can we please hear from our last speaker, Madam Sarah? Can we hear from you, please?
Okay, so for me, it's just to emphasize on us being safe, even as we do open access. And I would want to say that we should be wary of predatory journals. Okay, so that we want to publish and we want it to be open access, we also need to be sure that we are not falling victim. Okay, so first of all, we would need to verify that the journal isn't predatory, that there is a clear understanding of what you want to do and what the journal is offering. Okay, check also that the journals are indexed in very credible databases. Check that they have good, I don't want to say high because that might be like overreach, but very good impact factors, and that they also do not charge exorbitantly. Okay, so that there are people that sponsor or fund open access, so we should be careful that we do not fall prey while publishing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So at this juncture, I would like to appreciate. I don't know. It seems I don't know if you are seeing my screen. I'm actually sharing a screen right now. An appreciation. Yes. I don't know if you can see it. This is just to say thank you to all our resource persons. It's not my own screen. Unfortunately, I don't know. It's misbehaving now. I can't see what I'm sharing, but I'm actually trying to put an appreciation page right now to say thank you to our resource persons. and our panelists and speakers for the time that you spent here with us. And also, having said that, I would like to remind us that the the form is in the comment section. Let us try to please complete that form that has been posted in the comment section. Please complete the form. It's in the comment section. I would like us to complete that form. And having said that, if you would like to learn more about every other update, you want to get all the information and resources we promised during this program, all you need to do is simply visit our website, join the Upskill and Connect community, and you gain access to all this. Also, if you want to learn more about Leap Sense, open science in Nigeria, please do well to reach out to Dr. Fatima. And you can just search Dr. Fatima on LinkedIn, on Facebook, anywhere you find her. The only Dr. Fatima with Dr. Fatima Jibril Abdul Dayan. So once you see the three names complete like that, you know that's her. And also, you can reach out to Dr. Aziz Adeoye. Just search for Wizard Librarian, and you know and the only Wizard Librarian in the world. You just know, and you see him there. Exactly, that's him. And Madam Sarah, she's the most innovative library staff I can say that I've ever met. And thank you so much for all you do, Ma. God bless you all. And on this note, I want to say thank you for your time, and thank you everyone, our dear viewers, for hanging on. Please, before you leave, subscribe to this channel if you found this resource helpful. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Bye.
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 Thank you.